Our guest received a collection of hand-knitted baby clothes in February, a final gift from a late family friend who had lived in Germany. These garments were made by the guest's husband's great-grandmother, a German Jewish woman from Munich who was skilled in knitting. During World War II, she grabbed these clothes when Nazis ordered her to leave.
And they came over to the US just before the war.
The pieces, reflecting European craftsmanship with intricate beadwork and lace, are especially precious due to the personal history attached. The large item, likely belonging to Helmut, would have been worn over a baby dress, while the smaller ones are beautifully detailed, with handmade lace and roses. The appraiser notes the garment's exceptional quality and their appeal to collectors of baby clothes.
And then there are those doll collectors who would absolutely love to have them because they'll fit on their French and German doll.
Overall, the collection is valued at a jaw-dropping price of
Somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000.
It's a lot for baby clothes, don't you think?
It is a lot for baby clothes. But these are not just your normal baby clothes. These are actually works of art.
Mm-hmm.
Our guest purchased a pile of letters for $20 at an estate sale, excited by the political memorabilia. The estate belonged to Earl Marzo, a biographer.
The person whose house it was at, it was the biographer of Richard Nixon. He was a reporter and a writer of books.
Among the letters was a significant one from Martin Luther King Jr., dated September 1958. Written on King stationery from Montgomery, Alabama, the letter is a turbulent period in civil rights history. King expresses his belief in Nixon's sincerity on civil rights and criticizes President Eisenhower's approach. He concludes with a striking statement about Nixon, calling him potentially,
I would conclude by saying that if Richard Nixon is not sincere, he is the most dangerous man in America.
The content of the letter is highly significant, reflecting a critical moment in the civil rights movement. The appraiser values the letter at a jaw-dropping price of
Doing an insurance appraisal, I would put $10,000 on it.
Oh, wow.
It's one of the best Martin Luther King letters I've ever handled. Thank you for rescuing it from that
A pile of papers in a
estate sale.
folder.
This quilt, given to the guest by their grandmother in 1962, was made from ribbons collected from the Women's Relief Corps conventions. Our guest's grandmother, who was the eldest of 18, lived with her grandmother, a member of the Women's Relief Corps, Dew.
And because of a disease that was in the family and the community, they sent her to live with her grandmother.
The quilt features ribbons from various conventions, mostly from the 1890s. The quilt is styled as a crazy quilt, popular in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The quilt was likely assembled between 1911 and 1930, with some ribbons added later. While individual ribbons have modest value, the quilt's artistic presentation enhances its worth. The estimated insurance value of the quilt is at
It would probably insure for somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500.
Thank you so much.
Our guest appreciates the quilt's unique history and artistic significance. It's from her late mother. Ed Weiner, a key figure in mid-20th century American modernist jewelry, designed a distinctive bracelet and necklace set. Weiner, a mid-century NYC jeweler innovator, excelled in abstract designs. The necklace showcases a bold, organic design with dynamic gold elements. Small diamonds add brilliance and luxury to the necklace. Unveil the mystery in this signature creation.
If you look in the back, it's clearly signed. For the most part, what you're saying is true. Your mother had this piece commissioned.
Undulating curves blend elegance with avant-garde modernism. There's a mark.
See, on the bracelets, he signs it rather large. On something like this, especially when he worked in gold, he signed it with a very simple EW. So I was very excited to find that.
The artistry and subtle mark impressed. The appraiser valued the item.
Yeah, $30,000 today.
No.
It's a special piece. The bracelet, also, insurance replacement value, $5,000. It's pretty cool.
Oh my goodness.
In the late 70s or early 80s, her husband surprised her with this item from Robinson's estate sale, a 1915 Louis Comfort Tiffany opal necklace, a prime example of early 20th century American design. Louis Comfort Tiffany, son of Charles Louis Tiffany, masterfully fused artistry with natural minerals. This necklace showcases opals with vibrant color play in elegant gold filigree. Discover the allure of vibrant patchwork opals.
Both opals are what are known as patchwork opals with lots of play of color, with lots of red, which is a very desirable color.
The design's intricate metalwork and opals echo Art Nouveau's natural motifs. The necklace was both a statement piece and a symbol of wealth. Its timeless elegance was clear to the appraiser, who valued the item.
Value today is somewhere average retail between $70,000 and $90,000.
Oh my God. Oh, is that a big surprise?
This guest brought onto the show a reaction control system engine thruster. What makes this item particularly interesting is that it's the same type of thruster used in the Apollo moon landing.
I think it was used for testing in 1965, and it was probably test-fired as part of the program.
I have to tell you, I have no idea what it's worth.
The Apollo program, also known as Project Apollo, was the United States human spaceflight program. Furthermore, the program was carried out by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, which succeeded in landing the first men on the moon from 1968 to 1972. 16 of these thrusters were used to control the spacecraft. Also showcased is a collection of photographs that show the thruster's position on the space module.
So there can't be many of these about?
I think there's a few in exhibitions in the States, various museums, and there's probably a handful in private ownership.
These photographs were taken by Gene Cernan. Cernan, an American astronaut, naval aviator, and fighter pilot, was also part of the Apollo 17 space crew. Given the historical significance of these items to American space exploration, they would be valued at.
This one in this condition is worth around about $8,000.
Which is somewhere around £5,000 or £6,000,
yeah,
I suppose.
In the current exchange rate.
Yeah. Next time one turns up, I think I'll know.
Okay, just give me a call.
Okay, thank you very much.
Today's exhibition features a comprehensive collection of flipbooks. From a young age in elementary school, the guest has been captivated by flipbooks and has even been building this collection ever since. They represent some of the earliest forms of animation. What's captivating is that they were employed for different purposes.
Like advertising, baseball, collectibles, even all kinds of Disney books, each one.
Each flipbook contains a small cinematic sequence.
The Chicago Pocket Movies batting with Ernie Banks, 80 action photos.
This one is particularly special and the standout in this collection. The flipbook is called The Antiques Roadshow by the flippist, who is the guest. With some being highly valuable and others extremely rare, their total value is.
It's got to be a couple $1,000s worth of flip books, and that's a lot of flipping.
All right, it is a lot of flipping.
Today's episode is unique, featuring an interview with the guests after their items were appraised.
Between $150,000 to $200,000.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, when this came in, we were thrilled. I lit up. And you're still Packers fans, right?
Absolutely.
The guests are the daughters of the celebrated Henry Jordan. Henry Jordan was an American football player who played as a defensive tackle in the National Football League, NFL, from 1957 to 1969. He's best known for his time with the Green Bay Packers, where he was a key member of the team's championship wins in the 1960s, including 2 Super Bowl victories. As children, the guests were unaware of their father's celebrity status and thought it was ordinary for people to ask him for autographs.
There'd be fans there, and my dad would stand there and hand out the ring, and it would go across the whole room, and people would try it on, and it would always end up coming back to him.
According to his children, Henry Jordan believed that physical fitness was key to mental well-being, often saying, "You can't be mentally fit if you're not physically fit."
So he loved to work out. He'd actually lose a lot of weight in the off season because he played squash and ran a lot and have to beef back up when it came time to play football. One of the things I do remember is getting in trouble because he would come home between 2 days and take a nap.
The guests fondly recall getting into mischief by painting their father's toenails while he was snoozing.
We put the socks back on after the nails were painted, and you know, he went to football, and then time to shower with all the other fellas. Oh, he's got some pretty little nail polish on his toenails. He was just our dad.
A guest stunned appraisers by bringing in a breathtakingly rare find that will go down in Antiques Roadshow history.
I turned around and I saw that Don was holding a striped blanket, and I knew what this was. I excused myself from the pre-Columbian lady, and I went back, and Don was literally speechless.
The guest claims this exceptional blanket was presented by Kit Carson to the man who raised their grandmother. As a child, the guest slept under this very blanket in their grandmother's home.
And in the cold winter days, it was probably thrown over me.
This blanket is an exceptional example of a Ute first phase, circa 1840 to 1860, the first type of chief's blanket ever made.
But it's Navajo made. They were made for Ute chiefs, and they were very, very valuable at the time. This is Navajo weaving in its purest form.
Despite its age and usage, the blanket's condition is remarkably well preserved, and its value was estimated at.
On a really bad day, this textile would be worth $350,000. On a good day, it's about $500,000.
Oh my God.
Learning the blanket's true value, the guest was filled with emotion and recognized it needed to be passed on to someone who could provide the care it deserved.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Donald Ellis secured a swift sale, but the investment was subsequently impacted by the economic consequences of 9/11.
And Don's deal suddenly evaporated. So here he had this enormous amount of money invested in the blanket, and his deal just disappeared.
Today on the show, we have a collection of memorabilia directly related to George Harrison. Harrison was an English musician, singer, and songwriter who gained international fame as the lead guitarist of the Beatles. Included in this collection is a ticket from one of the Beatles shows in 1963. Another item on display is a letter personally written and signed by Harrison. In this letter, Harrison shares his thoughts on his experience visiting his sister in America in 1963.
He goes on to say, I had a great time in America, but I didn't like New York as much as I'd expected. It's a big, unfriendly and lonely kind of place.
We also have a page containing various signatures that supposedly belong to the members of the Beatles. However, it was later discovered that all these signatures were signed by Harrison himself.
I tell you, I'm led to believe it was George's party trick, almost till the day he died, that he could sit down and do everybody's signature.
At auction, the signed letter by George Harrison would likely command a high price.
The letter, I would say, would be worth £1,500 to £2,000. Had the signatures been genuine, it would have at least doubled. But still, I mean,
This guest brought 2 items onto the show, which he purchased at an auction in Indian Hill.
They sold these 2 items with about 4 or 5 other items. I just kind of like to look at them. I thought they looked very old.
The items at the top are referred to as Coptic fragments, and they were made to go on tunics. Furthermore, these fragments were made by Egyptians, and they date from the 4th to the 7th century. These pieces are executed in a tapestry weave, and they're done in wool and linen. We can see beautifully done geometric motifs on this piece.
A lot of these design motifs are from Christian symbolism and also early Greek mythology,
which are reminiscent of kilim rugs from the 18th and 19th century. Displayed below is another collection that originated from the Nazca culture, circa 4th to 7th century. In this collection, we can see the spinning implements as well as the spindle. This entire collection is very collectible and in this condition would be valued at.
So from the standpoint of the value of the entire collection, it's in the $6,000 to $8,000 range.
Wow, that's kind of surprising.
It's kind of a gutsy buy if you didn't know anything about them to pay for $900.
Yeah. My wife have a different word for it besides gutsy.
Today's episode is an interview with the owner of a unique piece. The owner brought the piece, an inverted hanging shade, as she was unsure of who had made it.
Today, to Antiques Roadshow, I brought what our family thought was a Tiffany lamp, but we didn't know because it had no markings. So it was always like, well, you know, it's a Tiffany lamp, but is it really a Tiffany lamp?
Although she had her guesses that it was a Tiffany piece, she wasn't so sure. However, upon bringing it to the show, her guesses were proved correct. Originally, the guest had thought it would have been signed as a Tiffany piece, but she learned its signature is unique in that its signature can be found in its craftsmanship. She was especially surprised at how much the shade was worth. If you're wondering just how much it was worth,
Could be priced anywhere between $100,000 and $150,000.
Good to know.
one might wonder if the original creator of this necklace was a bat enthusiast. The necklace was passed down through the guest's family. A real French Art Nouveau jewel, this necklace is particularly unique. Its origins can be traced back to the early 1900s. The necklace is made out of cast sterling silver with sea pearls on its bottom. Additionally, the item in the bat's wings is a plique azure, or backless glass enamel.
And if we illuminate it from behind, you can see that it's fairly translucent, like a stained glass window.
This type of jewelry is referred to as festoon necklaces.
Festoon necklaces are wonderful. They're better than just a straight necklace, and it's a bat.
A bold piece of jewelry. An auction estimate for this unique-looking piece would be
$4,000 to $6,000.
Really? I'm shocked. Thank you, Grandma.
Yeah.
3-game used bats from a World Series winning team are brought onto the show by today's guest.
These were actually game-used bats, and we know that because there's a number.
The team in question is the Baltimore Orioles. Along with the bats are signed cards from the players who had owned the bats. The players who had signed the card and owned the bats were Brooks Robinson, Frank Robinson, and Boog Powell. The number on the bats can be matched to the Louisville Slugger archive.
These were actually game-used bats, and we know that because there's a number stamped on the end. And we also know that we can match that number to the Louisville Slugger archives.
These bats weren't heavily used, which can be ascertained by the light scuffs found on them.
They're not cracked, but there is enough light used to them that we know they were used in a game.
One of the greatest times to have been an Orioles fan was around 1969 to 1971, as the team won 3 American championships during that period. At an auction, each of the cards would fetch
value, not as much, about $50 each.
And although each of the bats have varying prices, the most valuable of the lot is the Brooks Robinsons, whose value is set at
the Brooks Robinson bat. 10 to 15,000.
Oh my gosh, that's sensational. That is fantastic.
This 16,000 square foot Newport estate is the vacation home of comedy legend Jay Leno. The house is named Seafair, a name that was already in place when Jay Leno arrived. This mansion, styled like a grand French chateau, perfectly fits Newport's opulent architecture. The model of the Revenue Cutter Surprise, 1815, by Bill Hitchcock, was the race car of its time.
Auction estimate? I would probably say in the $2,000 to $3,000 range.
Blanche Camus' neo-impressionist piece features grape harvesters in vivid colors and children in the background.
This is probably worth more. I think it's worth about $100,000 to $150,000 at auction today.
These Japanese Meiji bronze elephants have excellent casting and striking rock crystal obelisks.
A pair of these at auction today probably bring $20,000 to $30,000. They're really spectacular. They'd be highly sought after.
This mermaid form weather vane, holding a rare 19th century shell, is well made with high quality directionals.
But I would say probably in the $15,000 to $25,000 range.
The house's slate roof, chimneys, and symmetry reflect bygone craftsmanship and grandeur. A guest from Minneapolis found this amazing magic lantern at an estate sale and purchased it for $250. Most magic lanterns are by Ernst Planck, but this one has JF markings, indicating that it is a Johann Falk made in Germany. The ceramic panels and hand-painted flowers make it truly special. Planck lanterns can be quite expensive, but this one is even more valuable.
This is another kettle of fish. Last one of these I saw sell at auction in Europe for something in the range of 4,800 euro.
Okay.
A recent auction in Europe saw a similar lantern sell for approximately,
which is, I think, around $6,500.
Wow.
I need to go to those garage sales you're going to.
Yeah, that's right. Anytime, you're welcome to join us.
This was Etty Flapper's dress and feather boa, once belonging to her great-grandmother. This set captures the roaring 20s vibrant spirit. Picture the sparkle of a bygone era.
It actually also has rhinestones that would have caught the light. And at this time, the Charleston was really in, so she was dancing like crazy.
It is made of ostrich feathers, a must-have accessory to complete any ensemble of the era. The beading's gold geometric patterns echo the popular Art Deco style. Boas were favored by flappers for their lively dance moves, like the Charleston. She had a matching bag and an orange and black beaded one. Together, these pieces embody the transformative fashion and spirit of the 1920s. Its vivid elegance impressed the appraiser, who valued it at.
So altogether, that puts your value at close to $1,500 for the entire ensemble.
And I used to play in this.
Her grandfather at Hal Roach Studios received 10 stop-motion toy soldiers from Babes in Toyland. These toy soldiers have black uniforms, tall hats, red cheeks, and wooden rifles. Babes in Toyland starred Laurel and Hardy, known for its charming stop-motion and whimsical set design. A classic Christmas fantasy adapted from Victor Herbert's operetta and directed by Maines and Rogers. Explore the magic of scale model effects.
And their insert sight gag here because, of course, the picture of them dressed up as soldiers as well. Yes. There were a lot of special effects done where they're shrinking Laurel and Hardy down to the size of these scale models.
The toy soldiers and figures used clay, rubber, and articulated wire. Models were painted and detailed for realistic textures and on-screen appeal. Their intricate craftsmanship led the appraiser to value the item.
I would fully expect that they would reach at least $10,000 to $15,000 individually.
Wow.
The guest brought a shield to the show that had been hanging in her dining room for years. The shield belonged to her late husband, who loved antiques and had found it in the attic.
This was one thing that he always talked about whenever we thought about things that we would bring if we ever got a chance to go to the Roadshow. He always said that he would bring this shield.
The appraiser identified it as an electroplated silver shield from the 1800s. It was made by Elkington and Company and designed by the French artist Leonard Mogul-Ledouil. The shield was originally designed for the 1867 Paris exhibition and won a gold medal. The original shield is now at the Victoria and Albert Museum. Elkington Company produced many replicas of the shield after the exhibition. It is inspired from John Milton's epic poem, Paradise Lost.
In the middle, you've got the Angel Raphael and Adam and Eve, being cast out, and they were made for purely decorative purposes.
It is worth around.
And they consistently bring around $4,000 to $6,000 at auction.
Wow. Well, thank you.
A letter was written by Charles Dickens to Lady Spencer, and it was purchased by the guest's mom as an anniversary gift for her dad, who was an avid Dickens fan. Charles John Hotham Dickens, born in 1812, was an English novelist, journalist, short story writer, and social critic. He created some of literature's best-known fictional characters and is regarded by many as the greatest novelist of the Victorian era. The letter was a reply given by Dickens to Lady Spencer's request for assistance with his readings. Regret was expressed by Dickens that he hadn't heard from their mutual friend, Mrs. Watson, sooner, implying that Lady Spencer should have acted earlier.
At the time, Charles Dickens' readings were like going to a Bruce Springsteen concert. He was the rock star of readers. Getting a ticket to his readings wasn't an easy thing.
Distinctive signatures were featured on this letter, with Dickens' familiar scrawl at the end adding significant value to the letter.
Can you tell me if the Lady Spencer that he was writing to is related to Lady Diana Spencer, Princess Diana?
I really don't know, because we don't know which Lady Spencer this is.
An insight was provided by this letter into Dickens' life and career, making it a valuable find for enthusiasts. This letter, with great historical significance, was appraised at.
I wouldn't have a problem of marking it $3,000.
Thank you.
A traveling show was operated by Phineas D. Town, also known as Professor Town, who was the guest's great-great-great-grandfather.
And he was popular enough that he had posters announcing that he was coming to town.
Yes.
Items from the show were presented, including puppets made by Professor Town. These puppets were created to educate children and earn a living, with some depicting biblical scenes.
Is, I believe, in the middle of Pennsylvania, all the way up near Elmira, New York.
You're
so
exactly
it's right below
about
the New York
40
State
miles below.
border.
The puppets were handmade, with carved wood heads and movable parts. Some puppets had holes in their hands, suggesting they were attached to strings like marionettes. A pony puppet was highlighted, featuring a clever design, with 2 tricks. A puppet of a girl transforming into a hot air balloon was also showcased, demonstrating Professor Town's imagination. The appraiser valued the puppet collection at
somewhere in the $12,000 to $14,000 range.
Oh, okay.
Today, we're treated to a breathtaking ink illustration. While browsing an online auction, the guest found this piece and bought it because of their passion for the artist's work. It's an exquisite ink illustration, rendered by the celebrated artist Arthur Rackham. Arthur Rackham was a British illustrator and artist known for his whimsical and fantastical illustrations, particularly in the early 20th century. He is considered one of the leading figures of the golden age of illustration. Rackham's work often featured delicate lines, dreamlike scenes, and a mix of realism and fantasy.
Well, I love Arthur Rackham too, and he is one of the most important British illustrators of children's books.
In the left-hand corner, Rackham's distinctive AR monogram adds a touch of elegance to this captivating drawing.
And we find in the book the illustration for the chapter called The Birth of Bran.
Published in the 1920s, this drawing is a late but lovely example of Art Nouveau's sinuous, organic style. Although less elaborate than some of his finer works, this Rackham piece would nonetheless be highly valued at.
I would say at auction, and I'm going to say conservatively, that this would bring $4,000 to $6,000.
Wow.
The guest presents a collection of 5 musical pocket watch fobs. Each fob plays a different tune when a small switch is activated. He admires the fob's unique musical feature. The guest started collecting watch fobs after discovering one in the UK. The collection took 10 to 12 years to build. She paid between $900 and $4,000 for the fobs. The appraiser dates the fobs to the early to mid 1800s.
Because it is the tricolor gold, and the way they made that was they made the basic component of the fob and then they applied all the different colors to that.
The appraiser estimates the value of the 9-carat fob as.
So the estimates that I would give for this at auction are $3,000 to $5,000 for this one since it's gold filled.
The oldest one is quite difficult to make and is valued as.
The auction estimate would be $7,000 to $9,000.
The value of the remaining 3 fobs is individually estimated as.
I would say they're going to be at $6,000 to $8,000.
The appraiser estimates the collection's total auction value at.
That the auction estimate for this would be $45,000 to $55,000 for the entire collection.
Wow. Okay.
2 tribal arts specialists discuss the homecoming of culturally significant Native American objects and artifacts in this episode.
Tamai, my name is Nadia Jakinski-Seiti.
Drinhozo, Shojre, Cheyenne Beatty, Eagle Huchin. I'm Cheyenne Beatty.
As Indigenous Americans, they reveal that these items are deeply personal and meaningful, transcending their status as mere artifacts. They point out that restoring cultural items to their rightful communities can have a deeply meaningful and lasting impact on community members. Both experts see reparation as an opportunity to revitalize cultural knowledge and skills by teaching the next generation traditional practices.
Weavers can study the design patterns. They can be saved and protected for future generations to have access.
They see it as a crucial step in ensuring the long-term survival of their cultural arts and practices. To them, ceremonial items are meant for community reverence, not personal possession.
In a private collection, we just encourage you to reach out to these different institutions.
Additionally, they believe that private ownership of Native American and Alaskan Native art can be appropriate in some cases. According to them, the process of revitalizing language and culture is complex due to historical trauma, but they're committed to narrating their own stories of victory.
It's our art, it's our music, it's our language, it's our traditions, it's bringing back our subsistence. It's a whole heartbeat and the love for who we are as people, and it's important for us to be the ones to tell our own story.
Scrolls from Hranice symbolize unity and resilience, bridging diverse faiths. A scroll originating from the small town of Hranice in the Czech Republic serves as a poignant survivor of the war. Though the original community no longer exists, this scroll stands as a representation of those who perished. Remarkably, 1,564 scrolls survived after the war in Prague and were brought to London in 1964. The Memorial Scrolls Trust, established afterward, has since distributed over 1,400 of these scrolls to communities and organizations worldwide. This effort is especially significant as it grants these scrolls a second life, ensuring their continued legacy. The current chairman of the Memorial Scrolls Trust, who took on the role last year, has long been passionate about these Czech scrolls. He views them as a symbol uniting Jews, Christians, and Muslims by shared values. A 1913 masterpiece by Carl Schmidt, the piece in question is a stunning example of Rookwood pottery dating back to 1913. It features a beautiful snow scene with intricate details of mountains and trees. The bottom of the piece reveals several important marks. There's also a circular mark with the artist's signature, identifying Carl Schmidt. The incised B denotes the specific glaze chosen by Schmidt, in this case a vellum glaze. Another mark, a backward R with a P and little flames around it, represents Rookwood pottery from Cincinnati, Ohio. This particular piece is known as a vellum glaze scenic. An unusual feature on the bottom is the word Calgary, which is quite rare for Rookwood pottery and suggests a connection to the Rocky Mountains. This piece, with its remarkable craftsmanship and historical value,
that I can remember another piece that had a location indicated on the bottom. But that makes sense. I mean, if we tip it up, this certainly could be the Rocky Mountains in Calgary.
Is estimated to fetch between $15,000 and $20,000 at auction.
I think at auction, we're probably looking at between $15,000 and $20,000.
Oh, wow.
It's a fabulous piece.
The vase in question is a fascinating example of 19th century craftsmanship. While the vase is marked with Cloisonne and the name Longwy on the bottom, suggesting a French origin, the name Longwy refers to a factory located in the northeast corner of France known for producing pottery and porcelain. The term Cloisonne traditionally denotes a technique involving metal fences to contain enamel, a method commonly associated with Chinese and Asian enamelware. Instead of using metal wire, they employ black ink borders to create a similar effect, which held the enamel in place. The vase's crackle glaze indicates it is made of pottery rather than porcelain, and it likely dates back to the 1880s. The piece is identified as a bride's basket, featuring a charming rope twist top and elegantly shaped body. It represents significant effort and craftsmanship, making it a prized possession for brides during that era. At auction, this beautifully crafted vase is estimated to fetch between $1,000 and $1,500.
It's really a beautiful piece of pottery.
Wow.
Thanks for bringing it down.
Thank you.
The item in question is a piece of scrimshaw, traditionally known as whaler's art on bone or ivory. Initially mistaken for a whale tooth, later identified as a hippo tooth, specifically a split or half tooth, this piece was reportedly acquired from the east coast of Africa, in the River Tumia, which is commonly associated with whaling in the Pacific Northwest and Atlantic regions. However, historical whalers often traveled around the Cape of Good Hope, navigating the east coast of Africa en route to the Indian Ocean and Pacific. The scrimshaw features notable elements, including an American flag and a depiction of a steamship, indicating it dates to the 1830s or 1840s. The piece displays a tropical scene, with palm trees adding to its uniqueness. While scrimshaw pieces made from whalebone are generally more collectible,
I'm really hoping that what I'm looking at here is that this is the whaling resupply stop.
Oh, okay.
This hippo tooth's East Africa origin and historical context contribute significantly to its value. It is estimated to be worth between $6,000 and $8,000.
Oh, I love her. How wonderful, a hippo. I would have never imagined that, ever.
Discover how a seemingly ordinary antique purchase turned into a remarkable investment. The guest acquired an antique piece from a local broker around 6 months ago, primarily valuing it for its gold content and intending it as a long-term investment. They paid approximately $800, while the gold value at that time was around $600, making it a strong speculative investment. The appraiser identified the piece as a late 19th century archaeological revival jewelry.
You have a very unusual little guy in there. He's really a very strong character. So it's not what the average woman would go, that's what I would like to own, but it's what makes it so different.
It features intricate granulation and twisted goldwork, techniques inspired by ancient Etruscan and Greek methods. These techniques were revived during 19th century archaeological digs in Egypt, Rome, and Pompeii. This rare and notable craftsmanship sets it apart from more common pieces. the unique combination of historical and artistic elements significantly enhances its value. While examining the condition of the item, the appraiser said,
You're looking at about $5,000 to $7,000 at auction.
Wow. Well, thank you
A
very
neat
much.
piece.
Yeah, now I'm really happy that
Yeah.
I invested in it.
The guest shared a cherished family heirloom with the appraiser, a vintage boy doll named Hansi Czech. The doll's history is rich, originating from Czechoslovakia, where it was brought by the guest's great-grandmother and later passed down through the generations. The guest's daughters find the doll a bit creepy, but the guest himself finds it endearing. The appraiser revealed that the doll is actually of German origin, specifically created by Kessner around 1910. Kessner, known as the king of doll makers, is renowned for its high-quality creations. The doll features a bisque head and a composition body with mouth-blown glass googly eyes. It retains its original mohair wig, wool felt hat adorned with silk flowers, and beautifully embroidered ribbon. Despite being a treasured family member, the doll has some minor issues. It has a bit of toe damage and needs restringing. However, these imperfections do not significantly detract from its value. The appraiser noted that the doll's excellent condition and rarity make it a valuable collector's item. In today's market, its estimated retail value ranges between $4,500 to $6,500.
It's great. you move out of the box.
Usually, newspapers are a routine thing, common and ordinary. The newspaper in question, though, is a historical artifact dated Tuesday, July 22, 1788. From New York, it is titled The Daily Advertiser. This particular issue is significant because it documents the New York Assembly's vote. The New York decision was pivotal as its acceptance made it the 11th state to join the Union. The document is notable for its excellent quality rag paper, although it does exhibit some wear. Despite these imperfections, the key text remains largely intact, preserving its historical value. In terms of preservation and value, while it's recommended to avoid direct handling, the paper could be professionally restored, albeit at a cost of approximately $1,000. As it stands, the newspaper's retail value is estimated between $2,500 and $3,500. In pristine condition, it could potentially be worth double this amount.
In that range. If it was in absolutely perfect shape, and we might double that.
Wow.
The fact that the current owner, being the oldest child, received this piece is a point of personal pride.
I'm thrilled.
During their main honeymoon, the couple discovered Hook Rug Scrim with a captivating cat design. Last year, on their honeymoon along the coast of Maine, the couple stumbled upon a charming store where they discovered a unique piece that caught their attention. Despite being unsure whether it was fabulous or hideous, it resonated with them, even reminding them of their cat at home, a hook rug base known as a scrim. American hook rugs, a form of folk art, became popular starting in the 1860s when Indian jute burlap was imported into the US and printed with various designs. Dating from the 1880s to 1890s, this particular scrim features a detailed printed cat, a popular motif among the various designs that often include horses and simple rural scenes. Rich tradition rooted in New England and the maritime provinces of Canada. Its value is estimated between $200 and $250, though the appraiser noted that such items are rarely seen on the market.
But I'm not really sure. I mean, I've never seen one that's come on the market.
Okay.
But even, if you pay what it's worth, that's still a good thing, and it's a great memory of me.
Making it a valuable and distinctive piece of Americana. Yearbooks are time capsules of youth, capturing moments that hint at future greatness. A yearbook with a 17-year-old Ginsberg early poem written before he attended Columbia also includes a personal poem for the owner. Reflecting on their high school days, the speaker recalls being part of a close-knit group of students who shared a good sense of humor.
Part of a group of 8 or 10 of us, and we were sort of not nerdy, but we weren't all jocks or things like that.
Alan Ginsberg and Joel in particular contributed to the group's harmony, keeping it free of arguments. They spent time discussing current events and minor debates, with Ginsberg, the class poet, actively involved in school activities. His literary talent, undoubtedly influenced by his poet father, Louis Ginsberg, was evident in his biography. and the two often participated in readings in Paterson. The speaker recalls Ginsburg as modest, never seeing himself as a celebrity, and unchanged over the years. Despite any change in his writings, the Ginsburg knew in high school was still the same old Al, with no noticeable anti-establishment sentiments during that time. While examining the condition of the item, the appraiser said,
I think this would retail for $10,000.
The item in question is a first edition of Tarzan, which was originally published in Chicago in 1914. This book was released by a company called McClurk. The ownership of both the publisher and the Tarzan series changed frequently during that time. Given its historical significance and rarity, the appraiser values this old collection at
I would put on the whole collection a value of $1,000 to $1,500.
Oh, wonderful.
This value reflects the book's importance and its status as a notable collectible. The appraiser finds the item to be a wonderful piece of literary history. Our guest chose this piece as a child from her late great-aunt's belongings. This piece is dated 1905 and was created by the well-known ceramic artist Oren Mann.
I believe the factory is still working right now, but he died in 1904. That's about all I know about the vase.
The appraiser clarifies that Oren Mann was known for his innovative glazes and decorative designs.
Artists worked for the Rookwood Company in the 1880s and 90s, left, as you said, because of ill health and went to Colorado Springs. The climate was thought to be beneficial for those with TB, or consumption as it was known at the time.
Although Mann's life was cut short due to tuberculosis, his work from around the turn of the century remains highly regarded. This particular piece, with its organic glazes and complex design, is considered more advanced. The appraiser is pleased to see this piece, as it is not a common find. Pieces from this period without heavy ornamentation typically fetch a few $100s, but this one's unique attributes raise its value. The appraised value of the pieces is estimated to be at
Auction, I would estimate it at between $1,500 and $2,000, so certainly better than most.
Okay, I was thinking around 300, so I'm happy with that.
Nippon porcelain was produced between 1891 and 1921 by Japanese entrepreneurs aiming to create affordable versions of European porcelain. Unlike European counterparts that use transfer print techniques, Nippon porcelain from this era is known for its hand-painted artistry. This particular piece showcases high-quality craftsmanship with rich colors and intricate jewelling at the base. Plain white Nippon porcelain would generally be worth around.
It would be worth about $25. But you add all of this to it, it becomes that much better. It becomes the best Nippon vase that we've seen here in a while.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
This piece stands out as one of the best Nippon porcelain examples the appraiser has seen recently. The detailed hand painting and vibrant colors contribute to its exceptional quality. Collectors highly value such pieces for their artistry and historical significance. In this exclusive episode, Margaret Rose Nakak guides us through the process of creating authentic atukak. Atukak is a traditional Inuit dessert from Greenland and Canada, also known as Eskimo ice cream. It's made from whipped animal fat, usually polar bear, seal, or caribou, mixed with berries, plants, and sometimes other ingredients like fish or roots.
Add a little bit of seal oil, and in here it says frozen salmon berries, frozen blackberries, and boiled flaked fish.
Here, some traditional ingredients are being swapped with modern counterparts.
Mashed bananas, which represent seal oil, and flavored yogurt to represent reindeer fat.
As her grandson assists with the mixing, we gain insight into the guest's ancestry. The guest's ancestry stems from the Inupiat community in northwest Alaska. The mixture is whipped until it becomes light and fluffy, similar to ice cream.
So I'm gonna start mixing this with the help of my grandson Calvin.
After preparation, the atukak is served for the crew's delight.
Okay, they want to see you try it. Go ahead.
It's very good.
It's very good, he said.
It's a little bit sweet, a little bit tart.
And nice
Delicious.
and cool.
This letter, sent from Paris in 1980 by the guest's sister to their grandmother, is a fascinating piece of American history. It is believed to be from the American War of Independence, addressed to This letter mentions General Washington and Benjamin Harrison as signer of the Declaration of Independence and Governor of Virginia. The connection to these significant historical figures adds substantial value to the letter. It was acquired from Charivet, a renowned autograph dealer in Paris. Despite not being as valuable as longer Washington letters, its historical context and connections are impressive. The estimated value of the letter is a jaw-dropping price of.
Because of all its connections, maybe $5,000 to $7,000.
Oh, really?
This treatise on calisthenic exercises by Mr. Bugeaud, purchased by the guest's husband in the 1950s, is a rare find. The book features a captivating frontispiece depicting young ladies dancing around a maypole, and
then when we go inside, we'll see that these young ladies are stretching and pulling themselves up on the parallel bars.
Printed and published in Ireland, it's an authentic Irish edition of an Irish book.
And published in Ireland. Many Irish books that you see with the Dublin imprint were actually Irish editions of English books.
The book promotes Mrs. Bugeaud's gymnastics school, teaching attendance times for classes. Preserved in its original cloth binding, this book is a remarkable example of early 20th century gymnastic literature. Given its rarity and condition, with most copies having been discarded, it holds an estimated value of.
It'd be about a $1,500 book. So your husband was like a Warren Buffett of the book buying world. I think he did very well for you.
He would really be thrilled about that.
Our guest's husband, an avid collector of antiques, would be delighted to know the value of his find. The treatise showcases the husband's keen eye for valuable and unique antiques, likening him to a savvy book collector. This 1982 NCAA championship basketball, signed by the University of North Carolina Tar Heels, was a personal gift from Coach Dean Smith to our guest. Our guest, a former college basketball referee, was involved in fundraising efforts, where Coach Smith donated memorabilia. Dean Smith's 1982 championship was his first win, after coaching the team since 1961. The basketball features signatures from legendary players.
Led by the freshman Michael Jordan, future Hall of Famer, James Worthy, future Hall of Famer, the great Sam Perkins. And if you remember the championship game, they have played Georgetown. I'm assuming you didn't ref that game.
The championship game, which saw Carolina face Georgetown, was notable for its intense competition. And
here we are with Michael Jordan, tongue out, trademark, 17 seconds, taking the winning shot. One of the most exciting college basketball games in history.
the basketball has been preserved in pristine condition, having been kept in a case and rarely handled. With its historical significance and excellent condition, the ball has an insurance value of.
I would put an insurance value of this of $10,000.
My wife just about fainted over there on the side.
Our guest is thrilled with the valuation, which reflects the ball's remarkable provenance and condition. This piece of gambling equipment tells a story of the Old West and early Tulsa. It was passed down through the guest's family, dating back to a time when Tulsa was still called Tulsi Town. The guest's uncle, a professional gambler, used it in his thriving business during Tulsa's oil boom.
And at that time, or soon after, the oil boom hit Tulsa, and that's when his business really boomed.
Manufactured by Will and Fink in San Francisco, it's an exceptional example of early 20th century gaming equipment. The equipment features vivid colors and an untouched patina. It reflects a time when gambling was a high-stakes endeavor in burgeoning towns. This item is a remarkable reminder of the stories and fortunes of America's past. With its rich history and pristine condition, this piece is valued at around.
It's worth around $4,000.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, you probably scared my daughter to death. She keeps it in her living room.
Okay.
Mid-century design and modern art come together in this unique furniture set. Designed by Chilean artist Roberto Mata, the Malite set was a staple of the guest's childhood. Produced by Knoll International in the late 1960s, it reflects the experimental design of that era. The set is more than just furniture, it's also considered a work of art. Examples of this design can be found in prestigious institutions like the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Despite showing signs of wear from years of use, it remains a significant piece of design history.
You do have the rips, some stains, some discoloration.
In perfect condition, this set could be valued at around.
For About $3,000 or $3,200.
However, in its current condition, its value is set at a respectable
$1,200 to $1,500.
What seems like ordinary paper can sometimes turn out to be extraordinary. These TWA posters, once used as scrap for various projects, are actually valuable pieces of aviation history. They were designed by the prolific artist David Klein. These posters capture the spirit of the early jet age.
Some people refer to these as the emblematic images of the early jet age.
They showcase destinations like Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Washington. Their vibrant graphics and sleek design have become iconic over time. Despite being once disregarded, these posters now hold significant value in the collector's market. One of the posters alone is estimated to be worth between
$800 and $1,200.
Altogether, at an auction, the collection could fetch between
I feel would fetch between $2,300 and $3,400.
Just unbelievable.
This neoclassical desk features a cylinder front, spade feet, and satinwood inlay, with Athena and Hera figures likely from Northern Europe around 1820. It boasts hidden compartments, spring locks, and secret drawers. This desk's origin traces back to the Samuel Morse family, famous for the invention of the telegraph. Samuel Morse's daughter married a Puerto Rican landowner who bought the desk in England and shipped it to their plantation. Designed with secret compartments, the desk protected money and important papers from thieves.
And look at this.
Oh my
This
goodness.
pulls out. Did you know that came out?
No.
This is where they really kept the treasure, back here.
Oh no.
Look at that.
In the 1970s, the guest's mother bought the desk in California and discovered a 1935 letter from a Morse descendant inside. Despite some minor wear and replacing the original hardware, the desk has been well preserved over the years. This desk is a remarkable piece of history and craftsmanship. For insurance, it is valued at around
At about $20,000.
Oh my God. Okay, $20,000. I should insure it. All right, I shall do that.
Beautiful piece.
Wow.
A unique Gouda plate, hand-painted with scenes of bombs, burning buildings, and refugees, captures a poignant historical narrative. In the background, a ship departs New York Harbor with the Statue of Liberty. Made in Holland, this unique plate was given to Charles Jenkinson by the Dutch government before World War I. Charles Jenkinson left New York with 1,000 sewing machines intended for Belgian refugees. He was honored with this plate in recognition of his generous contribution, facilitated by the Red Cross and the State Department. This plate commemorates his humanitarian efforts and offers a rare glimpse into his journey.
Okay, so this is all hand-painted, one-of-a-kind piece made in Holland for your family relative, showing the story. I've never heard of such a thing. This is such a great piece of how.
Typically known for floral vases and bright colors, Gouda pottery rarely features such a narrative and scenic plate. It represents an unprecedented record for Gouda plates, with a value of around.
Now, most howdah is fairly inexpensive. It's anybody's guess, but I would have to say somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 for this plate.
A sleek machine-age design piece, likely a hall pier table with a hall mirror, stands out with its striking deco lines. The item reflects the mass-produced style of the Deco era. It features smooth geometric shapes that evoke the era's fascination with innovative forms. Originally acquired at a Pittsburgh flea market, this piece was initially believed to be from a designer suite. It was considered possibly by well-known deco designers like Ken Weber or Donald Desky. Its back number reveals it as a mass-produced deco piece, exemplifying the style for the masses. This fine's value has surged from its $65 purchase, reflecting its remarkable appeal and worth. At a shop, this piece is valued at around
I'd see it in a shop at $600 to $800 easily. So.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I think so. Yeah.